Elena stood on the side of the road, her heart in her throat, as little Filippo ran towards a terrible fate. All around, the noise of the cars, the din of the city seemed to fade away, leaving room only for the frantic beating of his heart and the desperate thought of having to act at that moment. Marco's entire world was about to crumble before his eyes, but he couldn't know it yet. Before we delve into this incredible story, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next exciting events. Enjoy. Marco, a middle-aged man with graying hair, had dedicated his life to Gusto Antico, a restaurant that embodied his passion and his soul. Located on a picturesque street in Bergamo, the place was much more than just a job for him. It was a place where tradition and family intertwined. Marco was also the father of Filippo, a lively child who brightened his days. But the responsibility of raising his son alone, with his wife Giovanna often away for work, was not easy at all. He would never have thought that an ordinary day could turn into a nightmare. Elena, on the other hand, bore the signs of a tormented past on her face. She once had a normal life, but everything fell apart when unjust accusations and a devastating fire left her with nothing. Forced to live on the streets, her existence became a daily struggle. But despite everything, Elena had not lost her humanity. She continued to feel empathy for others, even if the world seemed to have forgotten her. The morning that changed everything started like any other at Gusto Antico. Marco had already been up for hours, supervising the preparation of breakfast, when a strange commotion caught his attention outside the restaurant. It was one of those mornings when the sky seemed to promise rain and the air was charged with electricity. When he went out, he saw a small crowd gathered on the sidewalk. His heart stopped when he recognized in the crowd the thin and frightened figure of Filippo held tightly in the arms of a woman in ragged clothes. Marco ran toward them, fearing the worst. Elena, who until a few moments before had been just a shadow among the many passers-by, had become the heroine of that moment. She had seen Filippo running without looking, without realizing the imminent danger. And so, without thinking, she had thrown herself forward, grabbing him just in time to save him from a car that was speeding down the road. Marco's heart filled with gratitude and relief, but also with confusion. Who was this woman? And why, despite her unkempt appearance, did her eyes shine with a determination and inner strength that deeply affected him? Without hesitation, Marco offered her a job at his restaurant. He knew it was an impulsive decision, but he felt he had to do it. Elena, after a brief moment of hesitation, accepted. For her, it was the opportunity of a lifetime, a chance for redemption. The beginning of their partnership was not easy. Elena was quiet, almost invisible, but her talent in the kitchen was undeniable. The dishes she prepared were simple but full of flavor, carrying a comforting quality that resonated with customers, many of whom began to return just to taste her creations. Over time, however, rumors began to circulate about her past. Some members of the staff were suspicious. They felt that there was something strange about that woman who, despite her modest appearance, seemed to know the world of cooking too well. And they were right. Marco, who now trusted her, couldn't help but ask for information. It was then that Elena, with a trembling voice, told her story. Her fall from a successful restaurant to life on the streets, the accusations that had destroyed her, and the pain of being abandoned by everyone she thought were friends. It was a story of betrayal and desperation, but also of strength and resilience. Marco, listening to her, couldn't help but feel guilty for having suspected her. He decided to continue to trust her, to allow her to rebuild her life, even if he knew she was taking a risk. As the restaurant thrived, the rumors about Eleanor's past did not subside, but rather began to intensify. It was clear that someone knew and was trying to put the woman in trouble. One night, when the restaurant was already closed, a mysterious figure knocked on the door. It was Inspector DeNicola, a man with a penetrating gaze who wasted no time in pleasantries. If you like the story, would you be kind enough to leave a like and subscribe to the channel? Thanks for your support. The man introduced himself in a formal tone and said he needed to speak to Eleanor about an unsolved case from years ago. Marco's heart sank. He felt that everything they had built together was about to crumble. Eleanor had no choice. With a pale face and slightly trembling hands, she sat down in front of the inspector and told her story again, this time under the pressure of an official interrogation. DeNicola was an experienced man, accustomed to delving into people's secrets, and he was not easily moved. Yet as he listened, something in his demeanor changed. It was clear that the evidence against Eleanor had been fabricated, and that she had been the victim of a plot orchestrated by someone who wanted to destroy her. In a surprising twist, the inspector revealed that new evidence had emerged, evidence that completely exonerated Eleanor and incriminated a former colleague, responsible for starting the fire and framing her. That evening, Marco, Eleanor, and the inspector found themselves discussing not only justice, but also second chances. Eleanor was free. She could finally start over, without the shadow of the past weighing on her shoulders. The restaurant continued to thrive, and Elena's story became a symbol of redemption for the entire community. The truth had come to light, and with it, the possibility of a brighter future. Time passed, but the memory of those days remained alive in the hearts of all those who had lived it. Marco knew he had done the right thing, that he had given a broken woman a second chance, and this choice had enriched not only Eleanor's life, but his own as well. In the end, they weren't just a restaurant, they were a family built on trust, forgiveness, and a desire to move forward, no matter what.